7:01. All of you received the minutes of the last meeting. Jenny did a great job on those. I didn't see any corrections or
So
additions or deletions.
Do we need a motion to approve as emailed, or
If there is no corrections, then we do.
motion to approve as emailed?
Okay, second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carried. All right, the first and major item on our agenda is the convenience store in Morley. Ron Bush is proposing.
Mike, excuse me 1 second. Jenny just logged in. I just let her in. And Jenny, if you could hear, I'm recording it, so you know.
Okay, we'll give her a minute to get in.
I don't see Ron on anymore.
Yeah, he's still
He's
here.
there.
There we
Dead
go.
center.
I got it. I was just going to say that, yeah, I'm sorry it took me a minute. I couldn't find the link. So I'm all set
Okay.
now, though.
And Jenny, I am recording it, and I'll send you a copy of the recording so you can transcribe from there, if that makes it easier.
That's perfect. Thank you. I will take notes tonight, but I will also, it helps me go back through them. So that would be fantastic.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Jenny, all we've accomplished so far is passing the minutes from the last meeting.
Okay.
So were you all able to look at the plans that Ron presented for the store?
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna focus on the schematic that shows the outside and the driveways and the fuel tanks, because we don't really care what the inside of the store looks like. So, Ron, before we get to questions and comments, do you want to give us an overview of your plans and where you are thus far?
Well, we've been at a standstill, as everybody knows. So that's why we're trying to get things through so we can get started. The season's getting short every day. Again, like I said, basically a small convenience store, mom and pop place. We plan on having a little ice cream window on one side, subs and sandwiches type thing inside. We are going to have gas on a very small scale to start with.
Okay.
I believe I would come back to the board with a larger scale at that time when we can increase the gas volume.
Okay.
Just on cost wise, I don't want to spend a lot of money when there's no way to figure out exactly how much gas you're going to sell.
Well, yeah, that's the rub. And what are your tanks going to be? In ground, above ground?
They're going to be above ground. They're just going to be ready tanks that I've checked with and through the DEC. Been in contact with them several times, to make sure I know what I can and can't use.
Right.
They're above ground tank with a pump that's attached right to them.
Okay.
Right on the end. They're self-contained,
Oh,
for any spillage or anything like that. They're,
So if your volume increased, would it increase the tank size or just more gas in the tanks?
No, it would increase the tank size and, different, like a pump island and a canopy or stuff like that. And that's what I say. And I've left the store well away from all setbacks. So there's lots of room in front to do that down the road.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Any questions, comments at this point from the board?
What are your setbacks, Ron?
The setback, I believe, is 75 feet from County Route 27. It's 160 or so from 14. I don't have the drawings right in front of me, actually. And it's, I believe, 65 feet from the back line.
Oh, good.
And towards like Rensselaer Falls direction. The Lisbon, I never measured. It's 200 or 300 feet. It's a long ways.
You know what? That lot is deep that you own, correct?
Yes, and I also, when I purchased that, if you look on the one map, I purchased the field behind it as well.
Okay.
That, so that way I knew that if I did need property for anything, that I would have it there, and also ensure the snowmobile trail stays open coming through tomorrow.
Okay.
So
Good
how many
thinking.
acres is that?
Which one? The original corner lot?
The original corner lot?
2.5 or more. Honestly, I can't remember that.
You
I
think-
know there's 9 acres in the field.
Okay,
I think it's 2 acres or just over 2 acres on the corner lot.
very good. Thank you.
Jeff, I have a quick question. It looks like there's a tank towards the Rensselaer Falls side with maybe possibly a diesel tank.
Yep.
Well, that,
That's very close to the line,
the
like
line.
to the property line to the neighbor. Is that okay?
I would say that the DEC is going to set those where they want those being. I would think that's a DEC thing because there's probably nothing in our code or the state code to deal with fuel tanks. I can look that up and find out, but I'm pretty sure that that's probably all regulated by the DEC and where they're positioning those tanks and stuff.
Okay. Given that they're ready tanks and probably in a self-contained basin, if you will, then it's probably fine. It's just one thing that jumped out at me last night when I was looking through this.
Yeah, if I've comment on that just for your future information. When I spoke to the DEC on that, because I was originally gonna, right off the bat, wanted to put in-ground tanks because that's what they recommended for me to do with the style tanks that are triple safety and everything. I asked them on the setbacks on them on the in-ground, and I could put them right to the property line.
Okay. All
In
right.
the ground, which really surprised me. Which I'm trying to leave as much room as I can, and that tank actually we just threw it on that area for a visual of where it was going to be. We're going to keep it away from Joe Sterling's line as far as possible.
Okay.
And I will look into that, Mike, and see and make sure that there's nothing in the state code. But like I said, I'm pretty sure that the DEC regulates these fuel tanks.
Okay. I was in contact with Jason at the county planning office last night and today. Ron, so this will trigger a full county planning board review because of the location and the project. So a lot of the questions that we'll ask you tonight, we've gleaned over the years are questions that they're going to ask you so that you're prepared for them. They are meeting on the 4th. So
Okay.
if you can have all the information to them by the 4th, they can look at the project and send us back recommendations. That will allow us to move a little bit faster maybe than I anticipated.
Mhm.
If nobody else has any questions at the moment, I do have a few.
I do.
If the county, if we go on the 4th, they're going to want to review this. It's got to come back to Canton. Is the planning board willing to meet again to get this approved or get to a public? I believe it's going to have to go to public. Or
That's up. Well, I would want the consensus of the board, but my feeling is right now that if everybody is comfortable with the looks of the project and the county board doesn't have a lot of objections that we need to overcome, we could probably meet next month and have a public hearing and make a ruling. That's probably the fastest timeline we could work with because we have to have time for notice for the public hearing.
Mhm. Just because because of COVID, I'm going to be working alone with nobody whatsoever.
Right.
And I'm going to need as much time as I can.
Presuming that we will be doing another Zoom meeting,
Mhm.
maybe Bob could have a better answer than that, but if we're doing another Zoom meeting, our time is maybe a little bit more flexible. None of us have to actually leave our house. We can cut an hour out of our time and
I would
do this.
appreciate that.
Willing to help out however I can.
So I think we can do that. So I'm going to go through my list of questions and then I'll let the rest of the board jump in. The exit and entrances on 14 and 27, are they going to be separate or is each going to be an exit and an entrance?
They will be enter and exit.
Okay.
I had the county planner come out and plan those driveways for commercial use. They're already installed, actually.
Okay. All right. That's a big help. One of the things I know that they're going to look at, and one of the things that we're probably concerned in is your lighting plan. We're not going to want to light the whole neighborhood of Morley up. Some of your neighbors probably aren't going to want that either.
Yeah, my plans right now are, and we didn't get them on the plans because we're really trying to rush with this new engineer I was using to get them to you. I've got 3 light poles plan on putting up.
Okay.
Towards the two, basically the two closest entrances to the corner.
Uh-huh.
Kind of light that area up with some low LED lights, and then one out behind the building, just so there's not a dark area behind the building.
Okay. Well, we want it lit up for safety reasons, but we don't want to light up all of 27 or 14.
I've seen places that were just, you couldn't even drive by, it was too bright.
Right.
So I am understanding on that. So.
One of the questions that always comes up with the county planning board, and it looks like you have no problem with that with the land behind, is the snow removal. You have plenty of places to put the snow.
Yep.
I think we may be, or someone may be concerned with, how you pilot where the runoff is going to be,
Mhm.
so that it kind of stays on your property and doesn't run off into the neighbor's property.
Mhm.
But it looks like, you have a lot of property there to
A
push
lot,
snow.
lot of property in the county. When they did the ditches, they did all brand new ditches and sloped them really large to actually have enough for any runoff.
Okay. Parking spaces, is that like 13 or 14? It's kind of hard to see.
He only threw them in there. We thought probably the county was going to give us an exact number that we needed.
They typically do.
And so we were kind of, so that way we could work with, okay, we need 12 or we need 14, whatever they say. We can put more in.
Well, last night I was visualizing the stores around Canton, and it looks like there's plenty of parking there, what you've got set up.
Yep.
Can I ask a question about parking?
Go ahead.
It's on my list. How many square feet is your building?
It's 60 by 53. Well, it's 30, almost 3,200 square feet.
Okay, so it's under 10,000. So you need one parking space for each 250 square feet, plus one for every employee, according to our. So it looks like you're going to have more than that.
Yeah.
And how many employees will you have?
Probably only going to be 2, possibly 3.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's labeled on there to be the Lisbon side of the building, and there's actually employee parking there.
Very good.
Yeah.
And because that ground will be actually elevation is going to be higher than the store.
Okay.
It looks like to our code, Deb, that he's fine.
Yes, for sure.
I've really been trying to do my homework on it.
You've done a
Don't
good
like
job.
surprises. Ask Jeff. I've bothered him a lot.
That's what he gets paid for.
I don't know.
Questions from anybody else?
I wondered about signage.
There's going to be a sign on the building. We haven't looked into a whole lot about a sign on the corner. I personally don't think we're going to need it. But if down the road, if we want to put a small one up, of course, I'd put in an application for a sign permit.
Okay.
Jeff, I think as part of the application process for the public hearing, if he's putting a sign on the building, we would probably want to do a sign permit at the same time.
Okay.
Just so we cover the bases.
So Ron, I'll ask you to kind of try to give me maybe a picture of what you envision for a sign on the building. And usually that's all we really require with the sign permit, and the board looks at it. You get that to me, I'll get you a sign permit. Maybe I'll bring you one tomorrow, Ron, when I pick up the county application to turn it in.
Okay, we can do that. I don't know what the sign's going to be yet, because we're still arguing here at home on what's the store going to be called.
Oh, okay. Well, you can just put something in there. The size is really all we care about. Maybe we can have a contest on name.
That's what I wanted to do. I was going to put it on the actually Facebook for our friends and our neighbors here and ask for advice on what people wanted it to be called.
Oh, there you go. But you were overruled. I can see
I
that
was
right now.
overruled.
Okay, any other questions?
I have a question, Ron.
Sure, John.
The lighting, I know you said it was going to be low density LED. I'm not sure if I know what that means. Is this going to basically shine down and not out, or how would you describe the
Yes,
flow
I
of
actually want them to shine just kind of like a street light, where it's going to be shining down from the top of the pole. I actually have 3 street light poles, aluminum loop poles that I want to put up, and
Right.
I have found the new LED lights that point straight down.
Like
Okay.
dark sky? Like the
Right.
dark sky light?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, yep.
Yeah.
right? Okay, thanks.
Not a problem.
Some of those signs lights, depending on how they are, they have deflectors on the back of them that pushes the light to the front and not out like toward the road.
Right, which these will be going down, is what they'll be. So.
That's good.
Do you need a permit from the DEC to have the gas tank?
They have to be approved before you can put any fuel in them. They have to be inspected by them.
Do you have that approval now?
No, you can't get any approval until you actually install.
Okay.
I can go buy all the tanks and pumps and do everything I want. But you can't put any petroleum in them until it meets their standards.
And when do you plan on being open?
At this point, I hate to have an open date because I don't know how long I'll be working 100% alone, or how long it's going to be before I can even get concrete or anything.
I mean, your hours of operation for the business.
Hours operation, we want to be open by 5 in the morning. And close time, I'm going to stay open late at first. I'm thinking 10-ish, and let the public decide when I need to close. When business drops off. Any new business, I want to be open as much as possible and then close when as demand.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you, for whatever you propose to provide for food, do you need a Department of Health permit also?
I believe we're going to end up. At first I was really trying to, and I don't want to stick with ag and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still reading on all these guidelines of which one I'm going to qualify for.
I do believe gas stations convenience stores fall under ag and markets.
Okay.
It depends on the amount of food sold.
And how you serve it.
Yes, it all has to be served to go, which
Yep.
I plan on. And your food can't overwhelm what you sell for groceries and other products. What the answer they can't give me is if gasoline and petroleum products fall under that category. Because without the gas and diesel, my subs and sandwiches would probably outweigh my groceries.
So all the Stewart shops, they're regulated by ag and markets.
They are.
They are. Yep.
So then that should definitely, because that's basically mock doctor them in a way. I'm going to have subs, salads, and some ice cream, just the simplecities.
Yeah.
But those shops
That's
push a
good
lot of food.
They sure do.
Well, it sounds like you have everything in order for this to go through.
I'm trying.
Good.
Good job.
So if this goes off to the county planning board by the 4th, they're probably going to want to see a little more detail than the sketch you sent us. They'll want to see your lighting plan. They'll probably want to know about your snow removal plan. I'm guessing that's going to be a Zoom meeting. You're probably going to want to be there. I don't really see any issues myself at this point. Joel, you have a pretty serious look on you.
Oh, I was looking at the aerial photo. Is the house still there?
No, the house and barn are both gone.
They are. Okay.
I've taken down not all the trees, but several of them. Anything out in the open.
Yep.
Left there's 2 big maple trees left out on the roadside between that and the church. That's basically going to be a picnic area,
Okay.
somebody wanting to join ice cream or something.
One question that might come up is the amount of blacktop that you're putting up. Where's that water going to run off? How you're going to design it? You may want to design it towards the back of the property, which is already yours anyway. So you're not running off water, obviously, onto 1427 or your neighbor.
Well, the water's gonna run down. That's why that's why they did the ditches, because it's quite a grade.
Uh-huh.
The lot slopes to the road there on the corner.
Yeah, it slopes all the way to 14.
Right.
Because the county actually had to measure to make sure I had pipes big enough, because there's a pipe that crosses the road, crosses 14, good to run off, and they want to make sure that could handle it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of all the questions they're going to ask you. If, if we come back clean from them, we can move a lot faster.
Yep. Well, I'm sure they're going to have questions, and probably things that I've forgotten, or any of yous as well. We're humans.
You
Do you want this one?
Do you think you'll have to plant any trees along the south property line, going perpendicular off of 14 to block the neighbor, or is?
No, I don't think so. The one neighbor that is southwest, like you said, Joe Sterling is his name. He's been out there every day asking me when I'm going to have this store. He's so excited about it, and he's got some shrubbery there. And I talked to him about putting a fence up, and he said, "I don't see any need." So.
Yep.
Okay.
I see a question here for horse and buggies. Do you have any accommodations for tie stalls or anything there?
I believe up at the employee park and in that area towards the Lisbon side, there's going to be lots of room up there that I probably will put a hitching post up there.
Yep. I think it's a good idea because you'll probably get customers from the Amish community.
Yep, I'm hoping to. And like I say, and actually on the Rensselaer Falls side, Joe Sterling's line there, I wanted to leave grassy area that's not concrete or blacktop or whatever, because that pump is going to be over towards there for the snowmobile trails, to keep the snowmobiles off the parking lot, and the snowmobiles can stay on their trail and pull right up and get actually gas over there.
Oh, that's a good idea. So that's a 10-foot wide strip roughly, it looks like?
Oh, yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Mm. So there'll be no place inside to sit down.
There are going to be 3 booths is what we have designed on the end of the building. I think he might have taken them out in the last time because where I had to move some stuff.
Okay.
Facing 14, there's 3 windows there.
Yes.
We had a maximum of 3 booths. So if somebody did want to sit down and eat their sandwich that was to go, they can.
All right. But primarily to go.
Primarily to go.
Okay.
Looks clean to me. Anybody else have questions, concerns, or comments?
Quick question, where's your septic system going to be placed?
Septic system is going to have to come off the back side of the building into a pumping station.
Yep, and pump up onto the hill.
And then pump up onto the hill. And at that point, once I know what I have to have, the decision was made whether I have to actually join a piece of that property off that field to go out into the field, or if I've got enough room in that top hill to go towards the church.
Gotcha.
Should be plenty of property. I just don't know yet. They haven't told me what I'm going to need for a leach field yet.
Okay. And of course, your well is going to be on the opposite side of the building, I would imagine.
There's already a well already drilled,
Okay.
right off the back corner of the property by the maple trees.
Oh, right. Okay.
The well is sufficient to produce enough water for the business.
Yep, everything I've read is it's got at least 10 gallons a minute. The only difference between a residential well and a commercial for something like that was the well casing has to be up 18 inches in the air. I'm assuming for safety, so everybody knows where it is the only thing I could really take from it.
Do you have to test the water at all?
I'm sure through ag and marketing, it'll have to be tested. I'll probably got to put a water softener in and, a chlorinator possibly, unsure.
Okay.
We put in the store, we have a water room, and we made sure it was big enough that we could put a chlorinator in there if we need to.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Do we need to approve this, Mike?
This is just a
just-
conceptual
yeah.
at this point. It's going to go to the county planning board from here. If you are all comfortable at this point, we could set a public hearing for next month. Depending, the planning board meets on the 4th. They're pretty good about getting back to us in a timely fashion. So Ron would have time to react to some of their suggestions before the public hearing, which would be ideal, that all of those problems that come up would be mitigated by then. So if we're looking at sticking to our usual schedule, we'd be on the 19th or the 26th.
Jeff, I have a question.
Yep.
Now, in this process of going through all this, is there any problem with me doing just dirt work?
Right now, I don't know that we can do a lot of anything, Ron, but I guess as long as you, until it goes through that public meeting, I don't think it's a good idea, but that's just my opinion. The board might have a better idea on this because they've dealt with more of these situations than I have.
Yeah, I feel that
I would think
all I'm
you
doing is moving
want
dirt.
everything done, you know what I mean, to both board satisfaction before you did something. But I don't know, Mike, I've never been involved with one of these stores, so I don't really know.
Well,
I think you're gambling a little bit, aren't you?
It's basically a cleared or in the process of being a cleared lot at the moment, regardless of what comes out of the public hearing. I wouldn't have a problem with them clearing the lot. I mean, you could use that lot for several different reasons, even if this doesn't
That
pass.
was my opinion, because I don't want to take the top dirt all off it, and I could just be working there out by myself with my equipment,
Yeah.
getting dirt out of the way and moved, and bring some stone in, making good dry places to work.
Yep, as long as the board is comfortable with that, then he's really gambling with his own money and everything, so I would have no issue with him doing dirt work. I don't think that's an issue.
Well, that's exactly the way I feel. It's at this point, it's his money, his lot. And as long as we're not
Right.
starting a building project, we're not paving, we're not doing anything that resembles building the store.
Right.
I don't see where we have a concern for that
At
small.
this point, I'm just going to
do.
play in a big sandbox.
Right.
That's fine with me.
Oh, okay, Ron, I think you have an idea what the county planning board is going to be looking for. Like I said, I would highly recommend that you attend that meeting, whether it's virtual or in
Definitely
person.
would like to. Do they post that meeting the same as Canton did as far as to the public to pre-register?
I would assume so. You would have to check on the county site. I do know it's the 4th, so you have a target date to look for. You can always reach out to the county planning office. Jason or Matilda would be, more than happy to help you. I did email Jason back and forth about the project just to make sure. I wanted to know before tonight if it was going to require a full look at by the county. Then that affected our plans a little bit. So I thought it could save us a little bit of time here tonight. So knowing that and knowing it's on the 4th, I mean, we can set a date if everyone else is comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay.
So does 26 is the last Thursday or last Tuesday of the month? Does that work for everyone?
Yes.
Yep,
Sure.
7
Yeah.
o'clock.
Yep.
John?
Yeah, fine, great.
Okay, would someone please put that in a motion form for me?
So be it from me.
Okay. Deb and John, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, so it passes. So we set a public hearing for May 26th at 7 p.m.
Okay.
It would be really nice if we're doing this in person. If not, we'll do it in this form again.
Let's hope.
So
Mike?
Jenny, you have that recorded. Jeff, you're gonna put the notices out.
Yep, I'll get everything taken care of.
And Jeff, I'll set the meeting up and then I'll send the invitation to everyone so you can put the Zoom link with the public hearing notice.
Yeah. Kind of like the way we did it before, Bob?
Yep.
Okay.
And yes,
Sure,
I got
I'll
it
have
all.
questions.
It's in the notes.
I can't imagine it generating a whole lot of interest. I assume, from Ron's conversation here, he's, the neighbors all know what he's doing. Not just gonna pop a building up in the middle of the night. From the public gallery, any comments, questions? There being none, we'll thank Ron and move on to the next portion of our meeting.
Okay.
Ron, you're
Okay.
welcome to stay or to beep out if you want.
I appreciate everybody. I'm going to let you tend to your own business.
All right, thank you.
And have a good night. Stay safe.
Okay,
You too.
take care.
So long.
So the second item on our agenda was the NYSERDA model law. I did reach out to the county planning board last night, talked to Jason, just to ask him what he thought or what they thought about the NYSERDA law. Him and Matilda both have concerns about the way this particular model is written, and they would like to see some language changes that they are working on. And they will present them to us as soon as they get them. So it kind of negates some of our discussion tonight until we see what the changes they had. I did read through the NYSERDA law. It's dry as heck. I did have some concerns and some comments that I was starting to jot down until Jason got back to me last night. And then I said, well, he's going to do all the hard work, so we're going to let him do it.
Right.
Much like we did with the solar law, the county was a huge help to begin with. Why not lean on the experts?
Yeah.
And not reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. I mean,
That was
we can-
part of what they were saying at the meeting that we went to. They were saying, you know, look at the model laws, look at the whatevers, take the pieces out, you know,
Right.
make sure that you pay attention to this, 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 and this. But, you know, there's a lot of places that have already drafted.
Yeah, and the sad part is, regardless of what we do and all the work that goes into this, that most of these projects that require this kind of storage are going to go through Article 10 and they're going to go right around
Like I
us.
said, they were going right up to the state.
Yeah,
That's what they were saying.
but it's in our best interest as a community to have the law in place.
And this is Bob, including that I learned, I was on that workshop as well. And one thing they had said previous on Article 10, it was only for 30 megawatts or more. Now they're saying that if your project is 20 or 25 megawatts, you can opt into Article 10 if you're a developer. And that's really problematic because those smaller projects were completely under the purview of the local planning board. But if they choose to opt into the new Article 10 law, they're also going to be able to circumvent the local process as well. And that's troubling. Because one of the things it's going to do is it's going to tie our arm behind our back when it comes time to negotiating a pilot or a community benefit. And so there's the land use issues, but then there also is just the negotiating with the developer that we're going to be muted.
Well, exactly. We're going to be at their whim. And I would guess that if you're building 20 or bigger, you're gonna jump to the Article 10.
Isn't the Article 10 being replaced by this ORES? I mean, isn't
Yes.
that the whole idea?
Yes.
That Article 10 is no longer going to be existing. They're now this new ORES or whatever they're calling it. Is that
Right.
not going to be the governing body of this?
Yes,
This is
that's what
just a
they're saying.
It's actually Article 23. They're going to call it Article 23, and it's going to be overseen by ORES, which is the board that's going to manage Article 23. So Article 10 is going to be.
Oh, I thought it was 94C, but okay, never mind.
Yeah, but anyway.
All right.
ORE is the Office of
Renewable Energy,
Renewable Energy, okay.
Yep.
Oh, siting, is siting in there too.
Office of Renewable Energy Siting.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, basically, they can call it what they want, but they're going to have the final say.
But I thought that they were going to have
Right.
the final say in terms of the configuration and whatever of the project in order to move it along. But I didn't realize that they would have the final say on the financial aspects of it as well.
That's
Sure.
my understanding, is that they will control all of that, and
Oh, see,
anything,
and I thought that,
any of our participation will be at the
Okay.
whim of the particular developer,
okay,
which it's sad, it's annoying, it's,
yeah. Well, then, okay,
Yeah, but I think in the webinar, the lawyers, I think when they went through a lot of this stuff, they seem to be telling me that this is going to trigger a lot of court battles.
Sure. I think that the important thing is, and I think that you guys accomplished it with the actual solar law, is writing it in a way that has the protections, but doesn't go so overboard that we lose our seat at the table. So I see it as a real balancing act between voicing our concerns and making sure we apply the proper protections, but don't lose our seat at the table when it comes time to negotiating. Because those towns that, Malone, for instance, that basically said, come hell or high water, you're not doing it, they're going to get steamrolled. And they're not even going to have a seat at the table. So
Right.
the trick is protecting the town and the citizens and being able to stay at the table until the deal is done, so that you're in the best position to negotiate.
Good. That's good thinking, Bob.
and I got the impression that the deal was that they wanted to get it to the point where you don't have towns digging in their heels just to dig in their heels.
Yep.
And that ultimately, so I'm with Bob on that. The idea is, okay, and everything they covered here in the law, I would assume that under ORES or Article 94C or whatever to God it is, that they're going to address each one of those pieces, So I'm with Bob. The idea is that at this point in time, we want to have as much input as we can.
and I think we accomplished that with the solar law, and
Yeah.
Bob, I will attest to the fact that Matilda was a huge help during that process. Some of the things that I saw in the NYSERDA model law were a little concerning to me, because they were, I think, a little overbearing in what they were asking for. Certainly you want protection from the batteries and the explosions, but some of the little details in that, if you read it, were contrary to some of the stuff that I read early on.
Okay.
Concerning these buildings or housing, to house the batteries and the storage units. So I think Bob is right. It's a balancing act. I think we did a good job with the solar law. I think we can marry the battery storage or the energy storage law to go along with that. If we get a seat at the table, really, that's all we can ask for at this point.
Got it.
And Mike, you being part of the fire department, a big question for me is, these would be chemical fires potentially, and I'm just curious what the local departments, what position they're in, or what new equipment and what cost it would be to the local departments to have to go in and fight a hazardous fire like that. And I know the smaller departments aren't going to have it, but does even Canton have the capacity to fight a chemical fire?
Well, we do. We do have foam integrated in our latest truck. We do have foam that operates with all of our trucks. One of the things that popped out at me immediately last night was, should there be a foam suppression system in the building, which would mitigate a huge fire if that happened. You could just dump a bunch of foam on it.
Interesting.
Much like they do at the convenience stores. And you look up above there, and those big tanks are up there. That's not water in there.
Yeah.
I don't know what that costs, but I don't believe it's overly expensive. But some of that, I think, is going to be regulated by the state and the state fire code, Jeff. Not so much locally here, but I'm a little more comfortable locally as a firefighter than some municipalities might be. We do have foam capability, and the only way to fight a fire like that is with foam.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
So it's a waiting game. Is that what you're saying? We're not going to do anything else on this model law until we hear back from Jason?
Correct, and I will say that I was a little lax in getting going with the new job and the COVID, so I was kind of happy to see that there's going to be a little bit of a lag before we have to roll up our sleeves and jump into this, and certainly we're going to rely on them, and they have done a good job for us. We've made very little changes. I think Bob will agree with what Matilda and Jason and the county planning office came up with. So we were pretty happy with their product. They had a lot of input from us from the model law that they drew up, and I think the model law that came out of the county planning office mostly came from us.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of hoping that, and a little bit proud that we were able to do that. And I'm hoping that we can do the same thing with the energy storage law.
Sure. Do you think you'll hear back from them by the end of May for our next meeting?
I don't know. That I didn't get a sense of a timetable from Jason. Bob, did you get anything from Matilda?
They're going to meet and discuss it again on the 4th, but this is the information is evolving and it's dripping about the energy storage part of this. It's not a full flush of information, and so even what NYSERDA put out as model language back in December and January is somewhat antiquated at this point, as new information becomes available. And just over the last few months, the county's thinking on this has evolved tremendously, and so. I think we're 3 months into our moratorium right now, which was a 6-month moratorium, but given COVID and given the importance of this issue, I would have no problem going back to the town board and our attorney and asking for another 6 months. If the county felt that it were necessary to just play this out as long as we can, so we're putting the best law on paper as possible.
I wouldn't have a problem with that either. One of the things that I think happened is from that explosion out west, there was a lot of knee-jerk reaction and a lot of language that came out that probably wasn't appropriate for everywhere. Not that that's not a good thing that they reacted to that, but I think Bob is correct that this evolves almost daily now. And we want to make sure that the language we put down in writing is sustainable for the next 5 or 10 years. We don't want to do this every other year. So I would be more than comfortable, even right now, asking the town board for another 3 months or so, because I think we're 3 months behind because of all of this, and particularly because of COVID.
Yeah, I think we have every the validation is there if we want to and need to, and let's just see what the county does at the May meeting, and if they're not ready, I think then for our June meeting at the town board we would look to try to extend.
Yeah, and based on what happened with the NYPA transmission lines, this project is, 2 years off anyway.
True.
And they even said that. They even said that at the end of the meeting. They were saying, use the moratorium law as a tool if you need to.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Anything else to bring up?
Yeah, I got one question, Mike. I got a question from a person. The cell tower that they're proposing out by the village water site on Waterman Hill, does that go before?
What cell tower?
That's in Pierpont.
I was gonna say that's in Pierpont if it's up that far.
It's on the village.
They're in my backyard.
Ziggy, you need to start going to village. You need to start going to village meetings.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I think it's an issue that hasn't really surfaced publicly, and I've only heard about it in the last couple of weeks because I zoomed into a village meeting, and they're in negotiations with I think AT&T tower on Waterman Hill on village property, and I think it's a new tower. It's not, a dish on an existing structure. And yeah, I think folks living in that neck of the woods should ask questions.
What do we ask questions of? I'm ready.
Yeah, but does it go to the village or what?
It does bring up an interesting zoning question, Jeff. It's village property in the town of Pierpont, so
It's a-
who
it's a-
has?
It's in the town of Canton, I think.
No, it's in the town of Pierpont. It's
Oh,
a
it is
town,
the
of-
town, so it's up,
it would-
so
it
it's
would-
up from us. All
it would
right.
be the town of Pierpont Planning Board that reviews that project, not
Oh,
Canton.
okay. All right, so it's not here, it's.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thanks, Bob.
So it'd still be worth your while to pay attention.
Yes.
I shared with my friends in that neighborhood that there was a tower going in, that they might want to look into it.
Okay.
Well, one of the biggest concerns, I think, with a tower like that is the ones that we have reviewed is you got to be really careful of nailing them to the wall with a fall down zone, because they'll put it up wherever they think is right. And if that tower falls, you've got to have almost twice the height of the tower for a fall down zone. Because they fly a long ways when they crash.
And I'm not sure, I don't know what it is, but I don't know if they're thinking of putting a 5G tower in. And if they're putting a new tower in, I can't imagine they're going to put anything in but 5G, which
Right.
has its own sets of controversies.
Yeah, 5G is pretty controversial these days. There's basically no studies on the health effects of 5G stuff. I don't know if that's going to excite anybody, but that should be an issue. That should be an issue.
I certainly can't disagree. Anything else? Okay, we're set to meet again on the 26th, whether in person or here again. I think this was pretty successful. Thank you, Bob, for putting it together for us.
Thank you, Bob.
Great.
Bob.
Thanks to you all.
My pleasure.
I will say that I am no longer a Zoom virgin. So,
Was this your
Good
first?
job.
No.
New job and.
if there's nothing further, I'll entertain a motion to leave.
So moved.
Yeah,
Us-
Sicky, all in favor?
Aye.
I.
Bye.
We are adjourned, and I
Stay
assume
safe.
this